John Koeshall from Through the Fire Training Organization. We're at my gym here in Tyler, Texas called the Metal Shop. And today I'd like to discuss a basic set of drills. Actually, we're going to start with one drill called Hubud. And in my training, in the teaching that I do, in the seminars that I do, this is one of the most frequently asked questions is, what exactly is this drill good for? How can it benefit me in my training? And people that do start to understand that, then, well, give me some ideas. How can I expand this and make it more alive, make it more functional in my training, not just a dead training pattern. Energy drills, as we like to call them, is comprised of a group of drills that happen in trapping range. This is the range that happens right before you get into clinch range and after you come through that boxing range. So it's not a range where I can punch and kick freely, and it's not a range where we're really tied up tight. It's that range sort of right in the middle there that happens, and for most people this is a nightmare place to be, and that's why most people dive right in to try to get some kind of a clinch and take the person down. We like to work in this range because it affords us the use of our most powerful tools in a real life situation, that being the headbutt, the knee, and the elbow. And so it's critical for us to be very comfortable in this range and not feel like we're stuttering through it. You need to be comfortable here. So these drills were handed down to us from numerous sources. I got my understanding of these things from Guru Dan Inosanto, Sifu Rick Fay, and also Sifu Paul Vunak. But the important thing with these drills is that you use them, you play with them, you experiment with them, and you spend time in them. It's hard to measure the attributes that you're going to get out of these drills like you would conventionally measure strength attribute. You can see how much weight can I bench press or squat, conditioning, how fast or how long can I run, timing and quickness, how fast can I move my hand, how fast can I move from point A to point B. This drill and the drills that we're going to be covering in this series are going to help you with your ability to read and feel pressure when you're in that close sort of clashing range. In other words, sensitivity. And so we want to start putting together a shell that you can work from and gather an experience from. So Hubud is the first shell that we're going to teach you. In this drill we're going to be talking about the base drill and then how to seamlessly, in rhythm, transfer to the other side. So I don't start on the right hand side, stop, and move on to the left hand side. I want you to be able to flow from one side to the other without breaking the continuity of the drill. One thing to note with all these training drills, with all these energy drills as we like to call them, or sensitivity drills, is that there is a good amount of information that you will learn from the base drill itself. However, the goal is not to stay within that pattern. If you do, it will very quickly become boring, old, and you'll have a lack of growth. You won't be able to continue to grow. If you start to add in variables and other ingredients into that mix, or I like to say, fill that frame with a picture, you can renew that picture and change that picture every training opportunity you have, and you will always be growing, spontaneous, and creative, and that's the goal. So why don't we go to the mats? We'll show you how to do the base drill, show you how a couple of different switches that we use to change to the other side, and go from there. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the base pattern of Hubud again, and I'm going to show you two switches off of that. Again, the key here is that you need to be able to feel the energy, you need to be able to feel the pressure. Just to go through the drill without having the proper pressure isn't going to teach you how to deal with pressure, if that makes any sense. So here we go. So one person is going to start. We usually stop this hand so he can't respond with it. Then I'm going to feed what we call an angle number one, so into this area by his head and neck here, and I just want to come right into that. Daniel is going to stop that from hitting him. It's not a traditional karate block, but he's basically just putting this out there to monitor this energy. As that happens, then he's going to lift underneath. He's going to pat my arm down, and he's going to feed the same thing here. Now I put this out, making sure that he can't touch my head, and coming towards his eyes. Then I'm going to lift underneath, pat down, and feed. So we just, in our heads, repeat the mantra: lift, pat, hit, lift, pat, hit, lift, pat, hit, lift, pat, hit. And it should become very rhythmic. It shouldn't be me trying to beat him. Again, this is just a generator or a base pattern that we're going to use to come back into. A couple of things to note: we're not trying to pull his arm past here. I'm just lifting this past, and as I do, the angle brings his attacking weapon past my head, and it's no longer a threat to me. I'm not trying to stop him here. I'm trying to let this continue by, but I do that by passing it off to this hand. Okay, now obviously we could do this on the other side. So the first switch I want you to learn is just right from here. You pull this out, and I'm going to press this right at Daniel's face. He has to feel that energy, and he'll pass it by, lift, pat, and hit, and we're now feeding with the left hand orientation. So at any time during this drill, either partner can pull out and switch. Switch. Daniel can do it to me as well. And again, it's a sensitivity drill, teaching you to be able to feel and react to pressure. So the other switch that we'd like to learn right now is right here. Instead of feeding and then allowing him to continue through, all I'm going to do is put in a little bit of a half beat. Keep going, please. And I'm just going to pull his hand out of the way. So as soon as he blocks it, I pull it and I feed on the other side. So I continue in the drill. Instead of stopping and allowing him to continue, I pull it on the half beat and continue feeding on the other side. So again, I can pull it out, feed down the center line. I can switch on top there and bring it back in. So you need to spend a lot of time making this very familiar. And when that becomes more and more familiar, then we start to add things into it. But that is the base drill of Hubud. Okay, so hopefully you're able to see the base of the drill and how that works. Again here, the key with energy drills is we are looking for sensitivity. We're not looking for speed, we're not looking for power. Sometimes we'll put in a little bit of speed for rhythm, sometimes we'll put in a little bit of power so you can learn to deal with appropriately that amount of pressure on you. But if you're trying to be sensitive, if you're trying to gain sensitivity, power and speed are antithetical to that. If you can imagine trying to feel the softness of the petal of the rose, you're not going to go and smash your fist into a wall 30 times, run over, grab the rose and hold it like that. You're not going to be able to feel it. If I want to smell that rose and understand the nuances of the smell of that, I'm not going to sprint as fast as I can, get myself all worked up and come in and try to smell that rose. It doesn't work that way. So when you're working on sensitivity, make sure you're working on sensitivity and not speed or power. Again, Hubud means to tie and untie. And so if you look back at that clip and you can see how a strike is coming in, you're moving around it and not allowing it to tie you up. You tie and untie, tie and untie. And that is why this drill is so important, to teach you to be able to move around and deal with those attacks coming in from different angles. So that was the base drill and how to switch a couple of different ways. In the next video, we're going to be getting into how to start to influence your partner or your training partner by either pushing, pulling, or locking up their limbs. And so we'll be drawing from the arts of Dumog and the arts of pulling and pushing, and then some different locks from different arts.